The following video contains historical analysis and political commentary on systemic displacement and human rights violations. This material is presented strictly for educational, archival, and research purposes to foster historical awareness and critical dialogue. This content is intended strictly for educational and documentary purposes under fair use guidelines. Viewer discretion is advised.
We have been lied to. We've been misled and gaslit. We have been convinced that the two-party system is the only system for our country. But what's that they say about doing things the exact same over and over again and expecting different results? Yeah, it does sound a little insane. With this long and needlessly convoluted and bizarre election coming towards an end, with the primary, official primary being, of course, on June 2nd, I wanted to take a deep look into these candidates and figure out where their morals lie, where their money comes from, and what their ethics kind of dictate of them. So let's dive in. It's not going to be pretty. Hi, my name is Lauren Victoria Ruiz. You can call me Lauren. And I'm a queer mestiza activist from Southeast Los Angeles. And for a long time, I truly believed that blue, no matter who, was the only option, and it was the best option. I was convinced that anyone who deviated from this definitely not rigged system was ignorant and proud of it. I believed they were acting in direct opposition to the progress of our country. Like that's how committed I was to this idea. Yeah, and I had a lot of very strong opinions for someone who didn't know shit. I wasn't old enough to vote for him, but I was in love with Barack Obama. Like, I had a coffee cup that I bought from 7-Eleven with his face on it. Sorry, did I say had? I mean, have. And you'll never believe this. In addition to being an indoctrinated dum-dum back then, I was also an indoctrinated dum-dum in 2016 when I actively discouraged all my friends, all my family from voting for Bernie Sanders or any other third-party candidate. Not that anyone comes to mind right now, but any one of them. I was like, this is bad. Don't do it. Don't even think about it. You're keeping us back as a people. And I campaigned very hard for Hillary Clinton.
Boo. Boo. Boo you. Boo. Go to jail. Bad.
And speaking of war criminals, I think it's very important to note that the same people who want you to only believe that there's two parties are the exact same people who didn't want us to know the truth about Palestine and its history and its decades of ongoing occupation at the hands of our greatest ally slash dependent, the Zionist entity. If I make a Venn diagram, this will be the Venn diagram spot. Right there. Tell me it's a good Venn diagram. I just think it's very odd that almost 60 plus candidates running for governor of California this year disagree on almost everything. Except when it comes to bending the knee to an apartheid state and willfully ignoring their war crimes. Make it make sense. For candidates trying to represent such a diverse group of constituents, it's kind of bizarre that almost all 60 of these candidates who probably couldn't, come to an agreement on what color the sun was, they all seem to have the exact same Hezbollah talking points approved. It's very interesting. Just listen to what they have to say.
I saw that there was a rise in anti-Semitism. I supported AB 715.
I mentioned earlier that, as Shimon Peres said to me, to have opportunities. October the 7th, I went to UCLA with my running mate for Lieutenant Governor Gloria Romero, and we stood there and we said, this is unacceptable, what is happening here. And these university authorities have to be stronger in the face of the hate that we see. And I think it's completely outrageous.
Steve Hilton talks about the encampments related to the genocide in Gaza. Well, I like to be involved. So I went to a few of them, actually. They talk about hate. They talk about a lot of anger and violence towards Jewish students on campus. And can I tell you what I saw as someone who was on the ground? Nothing but the most wonderful love and community and support. They had daily activities, they had shared meals that accommodated folks' dietary restrictions and dietary needs. It was nothing but community. I watched the UC system turn deadly on their own students. And also one of the evenings at UCLA, we got to witness pretty much just a little ounce of what the settlers inflict on Palestinians in the West Bank, because these people were hooligans. They viciously attacked all the peaceful UCLA students. Everything was peaceful, everything was calm, everything was wonderful. If you want to point fingers, it was the administration who turned a private militia on their own students, while continuing to support the apartheid state with their yearly investments of billion. It's so gross. I could dig into it. That could be a whole other video. And you know what? I might do. That might be the next one. Don't believe anything you heard from one of the primary news channels. You know what I mean? Your Fox, NBC, ABC, all those things. Because if they have to start reporting the truth, your world would collapse. Especially just living here in the Los Angeles area. Everything we do, everywhere we go, all the schools we're pushed to attend as children, they all fund or benefit from the Zionist state one way or another. I'm trying not to have a "you're cooked" mentality right now, but just so you know, almost there. Okay, back to the video. But listen to this bullshit that he said.
We'll agree again, Steve. Well done. Doesn't happen at every debate. Glad we're aligned on many of these issues.
If I'm going to spend time scrutinizing folks, I think it's really important that I look inward and scrutinize myself as well for my own past ignorant views. I'd like to share my journey with you and explain to y'all the realities of the situation we're currently in. We've been plunged further and further into fascism by both the Democrats and the Republicans, and the root causes of many of the issues that we face today stem from the fact that, much like the Zionist entity, our country was founded on occupation and genocide. As mortifying as it is to admit to all of you, until October 8th, 2023, I lived life unbeknownst to me as a liberal Zionist.
Boo.
Go ahead.
That's bad. You're bad. I don't like that. Boo.
Yeah.
Do anything else. Boo.
Now, as revolting and generally awful as that sentence is, it's not nearly the most embarrassing thing I've ever said on the internet, so I'm pretty sure I'll be fine. So you can go ahead and boo me again.
Boo. You're bad. No, don't wave. Don't wave. You don't even know how to wave. Go home.
Hey, okay, remember, we listen and we don't judge. Without any proper or formal education, or just any information on the topic, other than what my extremely conservative Christian church had told me growing up, I was like, yeah, why shouldn't Jewish people get their own state? That makes sense, right? By simply engaging with that propaganda and making the choice to not dig deeper, I became complicit in Zionism and all the death and destruction that comes along with it. A lot of people did. We listened to celebrities, religious leaders, AIPAC-sponsored, purchased, that can't be right, AIPAC-sponsored politicians, and we took what they said as gospel, because their identity politics were able to satisfy those with even an ounce of privilege. We heard what they said and we went for the ride, just out of ignorance. Definitely know now that I was not alone in that. There were so many of us who had a completely different worldview of Israel just until a couple of years ago. Hasbara incantations had seduced us all for decades, and our blind patriotism and fear of being called ignorant made us perfect tools to fund their schemes. Then we watched the Hannibal Directive being carried out right in front of our eyes. eyes, along with the non-discriminatory bombings of the universities, hospitals, places of worship, daycares, NICU wards. You get where I'm going. By the end of 2023, we started putting the puzzle together, and we found the picture before us to be ugly and lacking. If you look around, you can see so many of our US citizens falling deeper and deeper into casual fascism, devastating poverty, and normalized violence against one another. You can also see that our schools and communities struggle to gain proper funding and support. I just think it's so funny how the government, who doesn't have any money for healthcare or education or housing the unhoused, suddenly has billions and billions of dollars of our tax money to send to an apartheid regime and arm them. Zionists who will accept our funding won't accept our opinions and believes that we are somehow unqualified to have any type of opinion on anything their maniacal state chooses to do. They have decided for the global population that the situation in the Middle East is too nuanced for everyday simpletons like myself to understand. We aren't stupid, and this copy-paste Jim Crow era apartheid y'all got going on is very clear with even like the minimal digging and briefest of glances, okay? Bright as day. I know our shit when I see our shit. We were told to do the research ourselves to truly understand this war. That's what they call it, when now we all know it's actually just their most current little phase of occupation and ethnic cleansing, right? No matter what Hasbara nonsense is regurgitated at me or what religious materials they cite, the reality is that the displacement, degradation, torture, occupation, and ethnic cleansing of Palestinians is only capable with the complete support and funding of the United States of America. Basically, they couldn't do what they do unless we helped them do it. Fear of being labeled anti-Semitic or even the idea of appearing ignorant about a social justice issue was enough for a lot of people, corporations, celebrities to never push back. But now I know better. I know the truth, which is Zionism has a chokehold on our country and has a chokehold on these candidates. Almost 60 plus people are all on the same side when it comes to Israel. It's can't be on the same side when it comes to healthcare, like abortion, women's rights, queer rights, any of that. When it comes to Israel, all of a sudden you guys can make time. You can see like the other side. You understand nuance when it's convenient for you. Interesting. All these candidates claim progressiveness. Well, most of them do. Some of them unfortunately are from Riverside. But all these candidates claim progress, but vote and fund genocide. But they're simply doing what everyone else who's come before them has done, which is bend the knee, wear blinders, and willfully ignore the war crimes committed with our money. Two things have been desperately needed to keep up this charade, and that is one, the indifference of the average American citizen to the suffering of others. We saw it during COVID. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Capitalism and individualism in this country has forced us to be in a position where I can barely afford to take care of my family. You want me to help you take care of yours? That seems crazy. I get it. I know it sounds snarky, but trust me, I get it. So in addition to that, ignorance to the sufferings of others, they've also needed blank checks from Uncle Sam. And conveniently and tragically, they've been able to receive both for decades. Like many folks, my interpretation of global politics, especially those happening in the Middle East, were completely and intentionally shaped by indoctrination. From our textbooks to our churches to the president and all his cronies, all the way down to almost every single person running for governor of the state of California, the narrative surrounding the apartheid state is tragic and right on par with our own origin myth of Manifest Destiny. Both of these great and super moral good countries have claimed that their country is the perfect setting for settlers to come and start their life anew. The US and the Zionist entity have a long and salacious history of blind allegiance and dirty money. Sorry, I'm so sorry. My mistake. I meant bloody money. It's bloody money, correct? Silly me. Each level of development and education, privately and publicly offered here, is infiltrated by the genocidal doctrine of Zionism. This particular little variant of settler colonialism has only been achieved by continuously attempting to erase and eradicate the Palestinian people. They have attempted to completely remove, by any means necessary, Palestinians of all faiths, because several of you forget that Christianity kind of started in Palestine. Ask yourself where, like, Nazareth is, Jericho, any of these big biblical words. Ask yourself real quick, where did that come from? The settlers who founded the United States attempted to do the exact same thing to indigenous peoples here. And now I can understand why the fight for Palestinian liberation has always been criminalized and mocked. Because if we started putting together the pieces of their history and paying a little bit more attention to it, studying it a little deeper, we might be tempted to do the exact same thing with our own history. So now that you know what rubric I'm using to measure my support for these candidates or lack thereof, which is controversially genocide bad, don't you agree? Let's meet the candidates who are running for governor of the state of California in 2026. First up, Xavier Becerra. Xavier Becerra is an attorney and politician who served as the 25th United States Secretary of Health and Human Services under Joe Biden. Now, full stop, my dyslexic ass really thought it was Xavier. I thought that's how Xavier was spelled, but now I understand it's Javier. So I apologize to all Xaviers and Javiers. I don't know how your name is spelled. Anyway. Now, I don't know about y'all, but something doesn't really sit right with me about voting for someone who was the Health and Human Services Secretary under a war criminal during a time when that war criminal was funding a genocide that was directly targeting the infirm, women, and children. You know what I mean? Like, something about that just doesn't really feel good to me. I don't really care how progressive you want to seem and how for the people you want to seem when, like, you worked for a dude who actively funded a genocide and you were like, this is a good guy. And then that guy was like, you're a good guy. So I got two people who supported genocide patting each other on the backs like they're doing something. Also, Becerra's funded by, like, Chevron and Meta and Airbnb, like gross, bad, gross companies. Like actual terrible companies. Like Chevron, Meta in the year of our Lord 2026, we're taking money from Meta. Cop. Right? See, remember, I told you this is the only rubric I'm using, which is genocide, which is, one of the most terrible crimes you can do against a people or peoples. Genocide. Bad. Don't you agree? If we can't even see eye to eye on that, why would I give a shit about how you behaved as the Health and Human Services Secretary? Meta. Airbnb. Gross. Bad. No. Okay? Ew. This shows your loyalty to big corporations and the Zionist entity. Bad. Next. Chad Bianco. Gugh. Law enforcement officer who served as the sheriff in Riverside, California for these years. I don't care. I don't want to read the script because I'm mad that I wrote him into the script anyway. Following a hacking incident in September 2021, Bianco, along with over 200 law enforcement officers, were exposed as a former member of the organization. Now, I didn't know what this organization was because I'm not like a lame turd person masquerading as a patriot or a Christian. But according to the website, extremism.gwu.edu, the Oath Keepers is now hold on. I'm sorry, if you're so anti-government, why are you trying to be in the government? And I don't know if this helps you try to like make up your mind, but he's also heavily endorsed in the Temecula and Murrieta area. So do with that what you will. Next.
Steve Hilton. Now, if you love washed up Fox News hosts who have too much time on their hands and no understanding of public health and safety, boy, oh boy, do I have a candidate to introduce you to. He has secured the official endorsement of alleged pedophile, draft dodger, chubby bunny war criminal Donald Trump. So that's kind of all I need to make up my mind. But of course, there's always more. And he supports Israel.
Next.
Little Maddie Mahan, tech bro endorsed by more tech bros, San Jose mayor and California gubernatorial candidate. Matt Mahan is a vocal pro Israel.
Next.
Something that's very important to me is treating people in the service industry with kindness and empathy. Basically, I think if you go out on a date with someone and they're really nice to you, but they treat the host or server like shit, yeah, that's a bad person. They're probably wearing a mask when they're around you. There's a lot of reasons I can't stand Katie Porter, but after seeing that video come out of her where she verbally accosted her own staff member, I was like, meh, I know, I'm good, nah. When we saw that mask slip in the video, anyone who has dealt with a narcissist understood exactly what we were looking at. A mean girl who grew up and stayed a mean girl. She's nothing other than a wishy-washy centrist, attempting to get the attention she so desperately craves by pandering to liberals stuck on identity politics. More of the same. Yuck, comma, next. Tom Steyer is a billionaire. Wait, what the fuck? No. Next. Antonio Villaraigosa is an American politician who served as the 41st mayor of Los Angeles from 2005 to 2013. He went to Roosevelt. My family went to Garfield. LA folks, if you know, you know. In June 2010, a formal ethics investigation on Villaraigosa was launched due to his unreported acceptance of sporting events tickets, award ceremonies, and concert tickets. In addition to all those ethics violations, there's actually a whole bunch more. He publicly confirmed his infidelity to his first wife, who he cheated on while she was battling cancer with a Telemundo reporter. Once that relationship inevitably ended, he went on to date 1994's Miss USA briefly, before he, of course, married and divorced another woman. We're supposed to trust him to be faithful to us. He couldn't even be faithful to any of his wives or mistresses. And if that isn't bad enough, he's a Zionist.
Okay, I'm actually out of red and blue candidates. But these people will just bring us more and more of the same. However, they will only bring us more and more of the same as long as we keep giving them the opportunity to do so. We have a duty to ourselves, our loved ones, our families, our communities to fight for a better future. And that future is only attainable if we all agree to stop participating in this rigged game. Now, I understand that learning about a lot of this can be upsetting and even destabilizing, but the discomfort that it brings you doesn't really make it any less true. My grandfather, God rest his soul, used to say, if you hang around shit long enough, you'll start to smell. We have intentionally been indoctrinated into believing we're the good guys, just like Israel has, just like the UK has, just like Australia has. And these people, these colonizers who have displaced an entire group of people to make their promised land, we're all convinced that we have to be the good guys. But specifically regarding the US and the Zionist entity, do the good guys really have and need the biggest armies in the world that cause the most devastation? Okay, do the good guys need to have their bombs next to the scattered body of dead children? Like, do we really think that we're the good guys and we're the ones responsible for so much unneeded, useless fucking tragedy all over the globe? It's like the opposite of the Midas touch. Everything that we touch turns to shit. At this point, I totally understand if you're disillusioned with this entire idea of voting to begin with. This is exhausting, it's demoralizing. Red and blue are two sides of the exact same coin. And that coin is being used to operate a war machine that is never satisfied with the lives it consumes.
I have heard many say voting does nothing, and I'm tempted to agree with them because I believe that voting alone does nothing. What can any of us possibly expect to accomplish if the only thing we do for our entire community, for all of progress, is vote once every 4 years? We have to be living the way we are voting. Do you speak up against police brutality and white supremacy? Do you speak up for the disenfranchised, for the vulnerable? Do you speak up for the unhoused? Do you speak up for those that are immunocompromised? Do you know your neighbors? Do you know whose land you're on? Do you know what tribe had to be removed for your family to live there? The responsibility of learning our own history falls on our own shoulders. This is a us problem. This is a California problem. We've been voting for the lesser of two evils for so long that I think we forgot that we're still voting quite willingly for evil. I can't give up just yet. And I've known who I was voting for governor of California since day one. Dr. Butch Ware is not the lesser of two evils, and he sure as hell isn't a consolation prize for the citizens of California. Honestly, just seeing how much the Democratic Party hates him and is actively trying to get him kicked off every ballot they can, that was kind of the first green flag to me. The California Secretary of State knocked Butch off the ballot for a technicality that several other candidates kind of just got away with. As I researched all of these progressive candidates, the words that I kept seeing were working towards a single-payer health care system. Working towards. What does that mean? When you have people who are dying and going without basic necessities, when you have people whose claims are being repeatedly denied by their healthcare companies, what do you mean when you say working towards? Are you just saying that more people are gonna die? Every time I read one of their platforms and see this working towards, it reaffirms my belief that it's just a lot of promises that they don't plan to make good on. A lot of promises with no action and no sustainable change. And then on the other hand, Dr. Ware is ready to take action and implement single-payer healthcare on day one in office. What other candidate is willing to tell Israel, no? And I understand that there's a lot of integrity, there's a lot of perseverance, and a lot of folks who believe that you can go through the belly of the beast, right? But we forget to mention how acidic the belly is and how it dissolves and breaks down nutrients until all you're left with at the end is a big old pile of shit. Votes split amongst the lukewarm Democratic Party candidates will be damaging. You cannot keep voting for the same thing and expecting different results. Primary turnout is always low. This year, more than likely, won't be an exception to that. The only thing that we need is 1.2 million votes. 1.2. And I know we got it. Just in the last couple years alone, I can see that the loyalties are changing. We no longer value party loyalty. We have loyalty to life. We have loyalty to freedom and liberation. We have loyalty to breaking these chains, breaking these shackles, and finally being free. I don't think a vote for a Democrat or Republican will bring us freedom. I don't think it'll bring us safety. I don't feel free. Do you? Let's review how to correctly write in Butch's name on the ballot. Okay, shout out to this amazing page, Hotties for Butch. This is going to be super helpful because hotties are also smarties. Are you ready? Rule number 1, write it clearly, make it legible, okay? try. Remember, you have some penmanship. Number 2, if there's a bubble, fill it in. Fill that shit in. I know you've used a Scantron before. You're old. Rule number 3, handwrite with pen only. You are not 6 years old. Do not use a pencil. Okay? That's just weird. Rule number 4, only vote once. Okay? You don't need to overvote. You don't need to send the ballot in and go in there in person. That's weird. Don't do that. Okay, and that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know. Go Hotties.
My name is Lauren Victoria Ruiz, and I will be voting for Dr. Butch Ware for governor of the state of California this June 2nd. You deserve better. You deserve liberation. You deserve peace. You deserve safety, as do your loved ones. Our country deserves so much better. California deserves so much better. And that starts with you.